Welcome to the Cross Border Summit. Today we are joined by Justin Danks, Vice President of Operations at Sunset Transportation. Thank you so much for joining us today, Justin.
Absolutely. Mary, thanks for having me.
I am looking forward to today, and not because we get to go back to a fantastic company of Sunset, where I once upon a time spent some time, but we are also getting into really kind of that 3PL aspect of the cross border piece of the puzzle, if you will. Before we get too far into that, though, let's get some background on you and how you got started at Sunset.
So, at the end of November, it will be my 14th year anniversary. And I know what everybody's thinking. I'm only 28, so how is that possible? So, thank you for any jokes or any laughs to all of my bad jokes. Very much appreciate that. I started in carrier sales at Sunset. I spent about a year at Echo after college. Trained, learned, great training program up at Echo. Then when I moved back to St. Louis, Sunset hired me right away. This is my fifth role at Sunset. I've worked in pricing and procurement, execution, business development, leadership, and was a managing director of the St. Louis branch for 7 years. The St. Louis branch is in our corporate office in St. Louis, Missouri. And about 2 years ago was promoted to the vice president of operations, meaning that all branch operations got to report up to me. And that's more specifically when I first got the opportunity to dive headfirst into the cross-border business.
I like it. So it's truly a story of started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Started for the bottom, now we're here. And now have the amazing opportunity to get to talk to you again. It's great to see you. I've been a big fan of everything that you're getting to do at FreightWaves. So really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. So one of the things that that 3PLs do, we all know and love, is that you guys really serve as that intermediary for shippers, kind of saying, you guys don't have to worry about being experts in cross-border logistics. Like if you're a muffin maker, you keep making those delicious muffins. We'll take care of getting them where they need to be. So when it comes to that complexity that comes with a cross-border operation, I know it's a little different that you guys handle when it's a shipper that, if they're brand new, they just started shipping cross-border versus a seasoned veteran. What does that process look like? How do you guys say, hey, here's how we take the complexity of cross border and navigating operations in Mexico while also going through customs and trade agreements and all that? How do you make that just kind of something simple that the shipper doesn't have to worry about anymore?
Yeah. So, firstly, it's Sunset operates as an extension of our customer's business. So we operate and we make decisions as if we are a part of our customer's business. And by doing that, you have to go and get boots on the ground. You have to go meet the shippers. You have to go understand their processes. Again, whether it's a new customer, whether it's a prospect, whether it's a customer that's seasoned in cross border operations, we need to go see it. And the first thing that we do when we go see it is ask all of the questions. And we also see ourselves as not only facilitators, but educators. It is just as much our responsibility to make sure that our customers have a good understanding of why we're doing the things that we're doing, setting the proper expectations, making sure that we have full understandings of transit times, of documentation, compliance. All of that's extremely important. And what we first have to do as we become an extension of their business is go learn their business, and we have to learn the ins and the outs, all of the nuances, and where the possible traps might come so we can help proactively support those and prevent those.
I think that the proactive part is the really important part because it's because I feel like it would be so easy just to be like, okay, yeah, we'll take your freight and we'll handle it, no worries. And then suddenly, you have an improperly declared item on a customs form. You have a whole host of we don't know how to get this carrier to work in Mexico, or we don't know how to get visibility into that, and it becomes a lot trickier. But you guys, that proactive approach really just says, okay, this is what it looks like for us. And this is kind of where we need you to be. If you don't have that, Like, if you don't know the answers to all these questions, that's fine. That's what we're for. But we're just going to ask you a couple questions to get it to the point where it becomes seamless, instead of just kind of answering the problems as they arise. That being said, there will always be problems as they arrive because it's logistics, and heaven forbid anything pick up and deliver without a single problem.
Mary, we're dealing with man and machine. Okay, there is no world where either one of those, let alone both of them combined, do not cause you significant heartburn at any point in any day. But at Sunset, I think our differentiator is that we run toward problems, we run toward coaching, we don't run away from it. And at no point in time is it ever not our responsibility. I didn't know we shouldn't do that or we needed to do that is the last thing that you want to hear from your real estate agent, from your auto mechanic, from your logistics provider. We have to know, it's our responsibility to know. And we have experts in place set up structurally to have the best person on the phone with the customer when that specific issue arises. That's our guarantee in customer service first, is that we run toward your problems. We don't run away from them.
But I like that approach because you obviously don't want, like you said, your mechanic, you don't want them to be like, I didn't change your tires and go, I didn't know I was supposed to screw them back on. Because that's not going to solve anything other than have your tires fall off and just your car is going to be gone.
And I think a lot of that is it's kind of a silly example,
Yeah.
but um, the expertise and skills needed to execute cross border business is so much different than any other piece or mode of domestic or international transportation. There are so many people, there are so many parties involved in any one transaction. If you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it, it will cause financial issues and it will cause delays for your shippers. And if you are proactively not proactively solving their problems, they will go find somebody who will.
Hmm. That is the one thing that I guess it doesn't necessarily suck, but it's a healthy reminder. Anytime you're dealing with like a 3PL or intermediary service, if you're not offering that to somebody and it's what they're looking for, someone else is. And it's not that difficult for them to go and talk to another one and just and jump ship to a different 3PL. It's a little difficult and it is a pain in the butt, but it's not impossible. And if I'm getting a better deal over here, I'm going to go do that. Because like you said, if you aren't proactive and you have a maybe a first time shipper that is, I want to stick with a muffin analogy because who doesn't love a muffin? If you have a shipper that's looking to move muffins into Mexico or from Mexico into the US and you filled out a piece of customs paperwork wrong, you don't want them to go, you don't want, the answer can't be, well, I just didn't know we were supposed to do that. I didn't know that that was supposed to be like that when they're possibly on the hook for 5, 10, $20,000 of improperly declared goods, or it has to be destroyed or whatever, because that's some mistake that you made. Obviously, mistakes happen. It is what it is. But being more proactive so that way it's like, oh, the mistakes we have are those ones that make us all go, wait, what happened? Or like, that's, I'm not going to say a first, but that's weird, you know?
And the core value at Sunset, out of the five, the one that we're going to talk most about here is accountability. And there is no such thing as, I didn't know we were supposed to do that. I was not knowledgeable enough. People out here telling their customers that they're not knowledgeable enough about their business to help clear their customs. The level of experience that you need in customs specifically and boots on the ground in the border are so different than any other service and any other mode that we grew up learning. It's just not the same. And the risk, the liabilities, as you just described them, you've got a truckload full of muffins held in bond that you cannot get to your bakery because you don't have the proper declarations and you don't have the proper documentations. And that costs money, that upsets customers, that upsets your customer's customer. There's no winning from utilizing inexperienced and unprofessional brokers on the border.
Yeah. And but see, the thing is, like, there's so many different freight brokers down there that you're kind of like, well, how do I know who's worth it? And how do I know someone that's just overpriced? And, I'm also conscious of cost. So it's kind of like, you're stuck with, how do I know what provider I should go with? And so that kind of comes into like, do I just go on a Google deep dive and left with analysis paralysis? But I think the more common theme that we've had throughout a lot of these chats today is that it really comes down to, especially when you do business in Mexico, is that you need that kind of that nod, or like that he's good, or that introduction to someone else that's been doing business for a while, either on both sides of the border. And that is actually one of the things that I do love the most about cross border between the US and Mexico versus US and Canada, is that it's still so heavily relationship based, of like, you have to know someone who knows someone, and that's like how you get it. Like, you get the nod of like, nah, he's with me. It's like a giant club you get to come in.
It is it's very old school business practices in a lot of ways. Technology, although we see technology at Sunset as a differentiator, not everybody, not all of our customers, not all of our carrier partners, our vendors have the same technological abilities and capacity that Sunset does. But once you find somebody with that technology, those are differentiators. And yes, we do still have our boots on the ground, shaking hands, kissing babies, and securing our partnerships in Mexico on the border, our drayage providers, our warehouse providers. Mary, I think the biggest thing outside of technology that's such a differentiator is if people overlook structure and how fragmented the cross-border business actually is. And if you don't have structurally a good structure in place, there is too much chaos for you to help organize. At Sunset, we have our own customs brokerage partners, our own dedicated customs brokerage partners on both the US and Mexico side of the business, as well as our warehouse partners on both sides of the business that we at Sunset have staff inside of. So, although they are not our direct warehouses, they are not owned by Sunset Transportation. We have staff, customs brokerages, and warehouse staff in these warehouses. So that way we've got eyes on your freight. We've got hands on your freight. We've got boots on the ground. We have a integrated cross-border solution is what we like to call it. And that is an end-to-end service with Sunset partners from start to finish. And we have visibility and transparency from start to finish on every milestone and every piece of that cross border movement. And without that piece, that integrated piece of the cross border solution, that's where fragmentation happens. That's where sloppy handoffs happen. That's where poor documentation happens, is these different parties that you expect to work together but don't have any skin in the game to help support your business holistically.
Mhm. I think that that's also something that I think a lot of shippers complain about, is that they don't have that visibility. They don't have that. I mean, it's no secret to anyone that's been remotely paying attention to the cross-border space for the last 5 to 10 years, and Mexico's akin to a black hole. Once your shipment goes in there, you just kind of hope that it gets there on time, like, fingers crossed. But that I don't even think that's a reasonable, like, thing anymore, to not have any sort of visibility into, like, if you're working with a good reputable partner. Like, obviously there will still be like Tommy and his shady McShaderson business, and they'll be like, don't worry, we got it. You'll just know when it gets there, when it gets there. But not maybe we shouldn't be talking to Tommy and his shady business. Maybe we should be doing business with people who say like, oh, you want to maintain visibility of your shipment, like at its origin in Mexico all the way to the US, or vice versa. Say less, we've got a solution for that. I feel like that's not asking for too much.
So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it might have been. but now it's not. And we hear Mexico often referred to as a black hole of communication. Um, and that is because there are so many partners that can be responsible for a piece of a transaction. Sunset's integrated cross border solution helps to try to bring light into the dark. We have everybody on our team is a skilled, specialized, and experienced operator in their specific piece of the assembly line. That's what it is. We're just taking information and we are passing it through 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 different parties at any one cross border transaction. But seamless communication through one outsourced partner that's responsible for the entire transaction from start to finish really helps bring light into what used to be this dark cloud or black hole of communication.
You guys did, the ultimate hack, which is find all the experts that are really good at what they do and say, "Hey, you wanna work together?" It's like when you do a grape project? No, a group project, and you get all of the high overachievers that are really good at what they do, and you'd be like, "We're gonna be a super group, and we're just gonna be great at everything because that's just how we do things." And you guys really said, "Bet, let's do it." Like, "Let's get all the experts and put them in one place."
And I think there's humility in that. Um, and the humility to say, we don't need to rebuild and do everything that somebody else is great at. If that's the case, then let's partner with them and let's better understand how to best utilize these networks that we have our procurement teams go out and source and build. It's not all just Justin Danks here sitting and trying to figure out these cross-border solutions. We have a whole amazing team full with procurement, pricing staff, cross-border staff, warehouse staff, customs brokerage staff. We've got everybody, like you said, in terms of our dream team that we come and show up to work and get to work with every day. And it's really a blessing to get to see everybody work together in the ways that they do. Because at our level, at our responsibility is to help facilitate communication and make sure there are clear expectations around exactly what's needed. All of that starts from the beginning when we go see shippers, when we go see prospects, when we're introduced to our customers, vendors. We need to understand your business and we need to understand it thoroughly to be able to be that extension of your business that's going to be required to manage all of this chaos.
So we have a couple minutes left, but before we go, I want to get just what's your one piece of advice that you would give people that are, whether it's a shipper looking for a 3PL partner, what's a piece that they would give you? Or if you're a 3PL looking to expand or even enhance your cross border operations, what's that advice that you have?
It's got to be the experts. That piece um, is non-negotiable. I think technology and in enhancing your technology, being able to transfer documents electronically, also getting into the non-negotiable type of levels, specifically with larger customers at volume. One last piece, maybe two pieces. CT-PAT certification is extremely important. Sunset is CT-PAT certified, and only 1% of brokerages in the US are CT-PAT certified. So when you said earlier, Mary, the competition and the size of competition in the brokerage market is massive. Barriers to entry are low. It doesn't take a whole lot to switch from providers, but 1% of brokerages are CTPAT certified, and you're looking at one of them right here. That is something that we're extremely proud of. Extremely proud of. CTPAT will help secure facilities and procedures, helps faster customs clearance, and gives shippers peace of mind. It is such a competitive advantage for Sunset, but we have done the work. It is not an easy certification to get, and it is extremely difficult to not only get but to maintain. And we are extremely proud of the work that our staff has been able to do to achieve that certification.
That is a very hard certification, and it's not one of those that, like, once you get it, you're good and you can coast. Like, you have to keep maintaining those standards, and those people love to look for people that don't maintain those standards.
Mary, even so much to the point where like the CBP will send people to our office to try to infiltrate our office in St. Louis, Missouri. We're not on the border. They're not sending their patrol into to the border. There have been people at CBP that have tried to come into our office in St. Louis, and our policies have caught them at the door and have shut them down. And that's something that we take a lot of pride in, and is not something that we take lightly. And nor should shippers. Becoming using CTPAT certified providers at Sunset Transportation as somebody as a CTPAT broker. We are only using CTPAT carriers and CTPAT warehouses when we are responsible for your cross border logistics. If shippers are not paying attention to the border security and to how big of a deal CTPAT certification is, then they're missing on an opportunity to further limit their risk and liability.
1,000%. I think that is probably the best piece of advice that we might hear today. I mean, if I may be so bold. That being said, if anyone has any questions about what we've talked about today, or if they, have questions about what it looks like working with someone that's CT-PAT certified, where can they find you guys outside of the summit?
Yeah, my LinkedIn directly, Justin Danks, or sunsettrans.com. We've got links on our website to reach out to or to fill out a template as a request for pricing. I would love to continue the conversations with anybody who might be interested in it. You give me the platform to come on and talk about myself, and to talk about all the great things that we are doing at Sunset. Mary, I wish we had more time.
I know. I know we could easily fill up like the whole day of just 6 hours of talking. I'm not sure anyone would want to listen to us talk for 6 hours. Around hour three, we might get into a little unhinged territory, but that means you'll just have to come back for our next one.
I would love that. If I'm invited, I'd love to talk to you anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
Everybody stay tuned for the rest of the summit. We have some amazing content coming your way.